we're going to talk about family, and they're probably listening. So we'll have to be careful during this candid conversation. But every family, I think it's safe to say every family has some difficult dynamics at times when not everything is perfect. So what suggestions, what have you experienced when your family's not playing real nice together? What do we do?
Well, first of all, I'm still trying to learn that it's not my job to try to always fix it. If
That's such a great point to
a couple of
start
my
with.
kids are not getting along, and because I love to fix things and I can't stand strife and trouble. I grew up in a household that was just full of strife, and so I really, really, really don't like it. So it almost becomes a point of weakness for me, and I've even had my kids tell me, "You do not have to solve this. We will work it out."
Yeah.
And all of your children can love each other, but they're not all alike, and so they have different issues. And then if you, like, a lot of my kids work for me, so that even doubles up the issue.
Yeah.
But I do believe that in my family, we are committed to finding a place of peace. Even though somebody may stay upset for a little while, they're usually pretty quick to come back to just agreeing to disagree peacefully or whatever the situation may be.
Yeah.
And, family is so important. And today especially, we're losing. People don't understand the importance of family. God created families, and he wants us to pass things down from generation to generation. And it's obvious that Satan hates unity. When there's unity, especially in a family and people really love each other, you become a danger to him, and he knows that. So he's always trying to cause problems.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think it's so interesting to look at our situations because you are working with your family, you're close to all of your family. Not everyone's here in town anymore, but it has been that way for a long time. So like everything was all one. You were together so much. Mine is kind of the opposite. We don't have any family here in town. They're really spread out to many different states. And the difference there is either you're living and working together so much that you have to figure out how to do it, or in my case, because we don't have that much time when we're all together, when we are, I do want it to be perfect.
Right.
I want it to be problem-free and everyone to get along and be happy. And it doesn't always work that way. Sometimes those short times that you have together aren't as glorious as you wanted them to be. So there are always challenges.
Yeah, and I think it's important for people to hear today that if you're having some struggles in your family dynamics, you're certainly not the only one.
Yeah.
I think that if people are going to get along, they're going to have to do it on purpose because we're different. It amazes me how different all my children are. And I think that, in any kind of a relationship, but in families, we are required to all love each other, but you may not be able to spend as much time with one person as you would somebody else. You can't, sometimes people are just so different that it's just difficult to spend a great deal of time with them.
Yeah.
But I know in our family that if anybody in our family was hurting or had a need, everybody would forget any differences they have and come to their rescue. And I think that that proves that everybody loves each other.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that my dad, when I was growing up, I remember, like, if anybody, and especially in my mother's family, did anything that angered him, I mean, he would just, like, write him off. He'd never speak to him again. And that's a terrible way to be. I mean,
and I'm sure there are people right now dealing with that stuff in their own families.
You have to. Families are a powerful unit, and we really need to work extra hard to get along with people in our families. And like I said, sometimes you have to agree to disagree.
I've learned a lot about expectations too.
That's good.
If I expect too much of my family, or even things that I think they should know, but that is unsaid, that's not fair to anyone.
Right.
And it disappoints me, and it's not fair to them.
Right.
And so I really have learned a lot about that, to enjoy the good times that we do have and enjoy being together without putting unfair expectations
Right.
on them or on myself.
And we have to keep in mind that children are lots younger than we are. And we've learned a lot over the years. Like, to me, getting angry and staying angry is just not worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, being right is highly overrated. And a lot of arguments are caused over, well, I'm right, well, no, I'm right, well, I'm right, well, I'm right. Or you don't always have to give your opinion. A lot of times.
That's a good point.
I mean, a lot of arguments or strife in families are caused over just opinions.
We know of things we just don't talk about, honestly, because we have very different perspectives.
Right. And that's everybody has a right to feel the way they feel about things. They don't have a right to push it off on everybody else.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say that again. Everybody has a right to feel how they want to feel or think what they want to think, but they don't have a right to push it off on somebody else. I will say that everybody in my family is, and I mean, there's not a lot of issues. It's not like, people are having issues all the time, but when they do, they are pretty quick to make peace and go on beyond it. And I think that's probably very, very important.
Something else about families is that they don't stay the same. They change. We grow, we learn, new children come into the family, someone gets married, blended families. There are so many different dynamics that everyone is dealing with out there, that we have to be really adaptable, and we have to pray so much over our families.
Well, you can take one situation like holidays, like a Christmas holiday or a Thanksgiving holiday. And so, we always celebrated Christmas with our grown children on the morning of Christmas Eve. And we would, for a lot of years, they came to my house. And then when there were so many kids, my house is not really kid-friendly anymore. I don't have a basket full of toys. And so we started going to my daughter's house because they had games and things the kids could play. Well, then as the kids started getting married, then things needed to start changing because they now had another set of parents.
I know, then you have to share your family with other people.
That a lot of them had to be. And then we had grandkids working where they couldn't be off on Christmas Eve morning. And so we've had to really make some adjustments. And at first, there was a couple of people that really, really balked about it. Well, my daughter can't be there then, and so it's not fair to have it then if my daughter can't be there and yours can.
Yeah.
And we finally just had to say, we're going to do it the Sunday before Christmas, and whoever can be there can be there. It's easier to ask off on a day that's not a holiday. And so, but we had to work through that.
Yeah.
And, I always said I am not going to be the type of mother that's going to have a fit if one of my kids can't be there for Thanksgiving or Christmas Eve. And it's morphed into, my daughter said this morning, she said, things have changed so much for us because they now have 4 grown children. And she said, things have changed for us so much now that her and my son-in-law are going to be home by themselves on Christmas Day, and Dave and I are too, because we're doing everything at different times. But that's okay. It's just a day. We don't have to make a mountain out of something that you don't have to make a mountain out of just because, traditionally that's what we've always done. But you can change.
Yeah. I think it's a great point just to realize that every family has their stuff. We might try to keep it hidden, but we all have things. I know some families deal with some really difficult things, but family is it's a gift. It's worth fighting for.
Right.
It's not always worth fighting in between.
Yeah. And I think maybe I'd just like to leave people with this thought. Is what you're arguing about, is it really worth it? I mean, if you really stop and think, so many of the things that people argue and fight about are just petty. I mean, they're just things that really, it's just not worth it, you know. Is my opinion being right that important for me to ruin a family relationship just because I'm determined that you're going to agree with my opinion? So
Yeah. We learn a lot along the way, that's for sure.
we do. So stay in peace. That's where the blessings are, where there's peace.